Good morning and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ben Coleman, Sales and Marketing Manager at Disability Insurance Services. I want to thank everyone who's joining us today on the line for another one of our Wednesday webinars. As you may have noticed this year, we're trying to mix it up and keep things to about 10 minutes. So what we've developed are what we call our sales strategy quick tips of the week. So because we know your time is valuable, we try to keep it to about 10 minutes, and then if there are any questions that you have, I will answer those at the end of the presentation. You can type in your questions on the right-hand side of the screen there in that box, and as I mentioned, I will get to them at the end of the presentation. So I will be your host today, and we will be discussing non-cancelable policies and eliminating the non-can nonsense. That is this week's quick tip, eliminating the non-can nonsense. So why don't we jump right into it? Always quote non-cancelable contracts for your clients, right? Is that what we've been told? That the non-can is the way to go? The provision, that the renewability provision you should always have? Well, maybe is what I'd say the answer to that question would be. There are pros and cons to having that non-cancelable contract. What are the pros? Well, first and foremost, locking in that premium. And for some people, that's extremely important to know, to have that peace of mind that the premium that they're going to pay on day one is the same premium they're going to be paying 10 years from now when they still own their disability policy. And again, when I refer to non-can, it's short for non-cancelable policy. The other type of policy is guaranteed renewable. So you'll often hear those terms interchangeably, non-cancelable, guaranteed renewable contracts. The other nice thing about a non-cancelable contract is that it has a built-in lifetime presumptive provision. Now, what does that mean? Well, if you have the non-can policy and you become so disabled that you lose your sight, your hearing, or your speech, they're going to presume you to be totally disabled. So that's if you lose your sight, your hearing, your speech, you're presumed to be totally disabled. They waive the elimination period and immediately start paying your monthly benefit. And they pay it for as long as you live. So it's a lifetime presumptive provision that's built into non-cancelable contracts. So again, the two pros to having a non-can contract, you lock in those rates, lock in those premiums for as many years as you're paying for that DI policy, guaranteed never to go up. The rates will never increase. And second, you've got that lifetime presumptive provision that will pay you if you lose your sight, your hearing, and your speech. Okay, what are a couple of the cons, though, of having a non-can policy? Well, it can increase the premiums 35%. And a guaranteed renewable contract premiums are very rarely ever raised. So there are carriers out there, just so I make this clear to everyone, where the non-can provision of a contract is built in. That's all you can have as a non-cancelable premium. So your rates are guaranteed not to go out. But there are carriers out there that offer some flexibility, and they offer non-can as a rider. So there's an opportunity here to possibly help make a sale by saving your clients some money by not adding that non-can provision. So again, look at this right here, folks. It can increase the premiums up to 35%, and that may mean the difference between you making a sale and not making the sale. Again, and I want to really stress this too. A guaranteed renewable contract, the difference is there is verbiage in the contract that states the carriers do reserve the right to increase the premiums in the future. But here's what I want you to know about that. First and foremost, they rarely ever raise the rates. One, because they would have to do it on everybody in that risk class, in that occupation class. And secondly, you'd have to get it approved through every Department of Insurance. And folks, as you probably know, it's very difficult for things to get passed through the Department of Insurance, especially here in California. So what we typically see carriers do is rather than increase premiums on existing clients, they just come out with a new product. So keep that in mind. The savings can be very significant. Okay, so when and why we take out the non-can provision. Some of your clientele, your prospects, maybe middle income earners, they also need paycheck protection or disability insurance. Everybody needs it. But they only have so much money they can spend on this contract. So in this example, I would say your middle income earners are people earning between $60,000 and let's say $120,000. Well, if we can save them money, let's do that. Because like I said, this might be the difference in making the sale and missing the sale. We want to make sure that contract's affordable. And if we can remove the non-can rider and replace it with just a guaranteed renewable provision, you're going to save your clients money. People that are age 50 and above, I really see no need to add that non-cancelable rider at that age. I think it's going to drastically increase the price, and you're probably only going to own that policy for 15 to 20 years. You're going to save yourself a lot of money. And a perfect example of that is the president of our company, Dan Steenerson, who had a non-cancelable contract for almost 25 years. And then just recently, I want to say about 7 years ago, he decided to take the non-can provision off his policy. He'd been paying those non-can premiums for 25 years, and the rates obviously never increased. But because he's been in this industry and he knows how these carriers operate when it comes to raising rates, he decided he's going to switch it to a guaranteed renewable provision. And so for the past 7 years, he's been paying about 30% less of the previous premiums he was for the first 25. So that's a prime example right there of how it affects a lot of people, including the president of our company. So I still think it's important to let the client ultimately make the decision. It's their choice. So what we can do for you and what you should do for your client is always present to them both of the options, the non-can provision and the guaranteed renewal provision. Show them the difference, explain to them the differences in both the contracts, let them make the choice. And remember this, always be willing to risk a rate increase rather than having your client walk away with no paycheck protection whatsoever. That's really the goal here, folks. You're doing your due diligence for your clients to make sure they're adequately protected if something were to happen to them, they became so sick or so injured that they couldn't go back to work. Keep that in mind. All right, well, here's another scenario for you. In this example, we've got a 45-year-old male, white-collar employee, desk job, managerial duties only, making $100,000 a year. The goal is we want to cover 60% of his income, which is $5,000 per month. So let's run some illustrations, and let me show you what the premiums came out to be. Remember, 45-year-old male making $100,000 a year. Non-cancelable versus guaranteed renewable premiums. Which premium would you choose if you were this client? By adding the non-can rider, it's $195 per month. Without the non-cancelable rider, the guaranteed renewable only provision, it's $125 per month. Now, the own occupation on the policy, that stays the same. It does not change. And the client appreciates the options that you're now showing to them. You're not trying to oversell them by just presenting the non-can policy. You're saving them $70 a month. Now, that adds up. $70 a month over the course of a year is $140. Over the course of 10 years, that's $8,400. So by taking the non-can rider off of a policy, you're going to see savings. You're going to present both the options. You're going to allow your client to choose what they feel is best for them. You may have those clients that want that peace of mind of locking the non-can in, and that's fine. But if it's the difference in losing a sale and making a sale, always show them both of these options. All right, so here's your action plan for 2013. This is what I want to provide to you, and this is what DIS provides to you as our agents around the country. Have at least one carrier on your platform that has that non-can flexibility, that allows you to show both of those options, the non-can versus the GR. And for those price-sensitive clients, the ones that are the middle-income earners or the low-income earners or the older people, always offer the guaranteed renewable policies. Some coverage is always better than no coverage, even if there is the risk of a rate increase. And finally, if you're finding that price is still an objection, I want you to try something that we've come up with called the unit selling approach. Now, I'll just tease you with this one a little bit, but essentially, it's showing the client units of coverage that they can qualify for. What I mean by that is, let's start very simply by just showing them how much $1,000 of monthly benefit costs. We'll make it easy. We'll do a 90-day elimination period, which is the most common, a 5-year benefit payout, the benefit period of 5 years, and a $1,000 monthly benefit. And we'll get the cost for how much that is. Now, depending on how much income your client makes, we're going to find out how many units they could qualify for. If they're making $100,000 a year, we can get them $5,000 a month in benefits. So that would be 5 units of coverage. If 1 unit equals $1,000, they would qualify for 5 units, a total of $5,000. And then you ask them, how many units would you like to buy? So that's another great sales idea, another great quick tip. And we actually have another presentation that we'll do for you on one of these 10-minute Wednesday webinars. So again, I really appreciate everyone being on the line today. I hope you learned a little bit about the difference between non-cancelable and guaranteed renewable. Again, I can't stress the importance of always showing both options and hopefully saving your clients money and in the long run boosting your commissions as well. Please feel free to visit our website, www.diservices.com. You can always call us at our 800 number at the bottom, 800-898-9641. I will check right now to see if we have any questions. Bear with me real quickly. And it looks like we don't have any this morning or today. So again, I appreciate everyone being on the call today. We're here to help you out. Give us a call. We look forward to seeing you back online with us next Wednesday for another sales strategy quick tip 10-minute webinar. Everyone, please have a wonderful day, and I'll be talking to you soon. Take care.